central point that desires are the only reasons for action. That's true. But you have to question why you want any given desire you have. I mean, you don't just randomly say, well, I have these desires, I'm going to pursue them. That would actually not be a very rational thing to do. You have to sit and stop and say, wait a minute, should I even have these desires? Why should I want that? Why do I want that? Is that the thing that I really want most, and is it the thing I should want most? You have to ask these questions, and when you ask them, you always end up with the same one answer. It brings us greater satisfaction to have lived that life rather than some other, and it always comes down to that same analysis. These aren't contradictory propositions. I mean, obviously, the fact that everything is being pursued for this one ultimate goal doesn't mean you don't have all these other goals. It just means that those goals are the right goals precisely because they achieve this one central goal. He asks the question why, he says you can still ask why do you desire satisfaction. Like I said, that's an unintelligible question to me. It doesn't make any sense. There is no answer to that question, never could be. And even if there was an answer to that question, then my goal theory would be focused on that answer, if you could come up with it. If you can't answer the question, then it has no answer, essentially. Satisfaction is ultimately the one thing that you want most, and there is, it's like inconceivable that there could be something more, because by definition, that is the thing that you want most. That's what it means to want something most. Another question is, what he asked me to define rationality. I actually just define rationality straightforwardly as deriving conclusions from evidence with logical validity. That's it, basically. I don't think you would disagree with that being a sound and fundamental basis for it. And any argument for why we should be rational, using that definition, you could easily make an argument showing that you better be rational because you're going to screw yourself over if you're not. The other idea of evil people engaging in, so he brings up the idea of maybe there could be evil people. Even if there were self-satisfied evil people, they're going to engage in self-defeating behavior. I talk about this in my book. For example, how psychopaths essentially screw themselves over if they don't keep themselves under good regulation. But not only are they going to engage in self-defeating behaviors in the sense that they're going to have society basically gunning for them, but they're also missing out on the benefits of the moral virtues. For example, if I become a compassionate person, I actually acquire certain satisfactions that a non-compassionate person does not. For example, when I do something nice for someone, I feel good. When that particular sharing of the joy and compassion and happiness of other people, I actually benefit from that, and that actually makes me achieve higher states of satisfaction that someone who didn't feel compassion could never achieve. So in a sense, someone who doesn't have compassion is missing out, and really if they were rational and informed and had the means to do it, they would prefer to be compassionate, because they would actually be more satisfied as a compassionate person than a non-compassionate person. And I discuss this in particular with the science of psychopaths in my book, about how that works out. And we may actually get to that point where we'll be able to surgically alter psychopaths so they cannot be psychopaths. When psychopaths are reasoning rationally, they would choose to do that. They would prefer that. I agree with that idea. He also talks about the idea of what if the world was such that we all found rape made us totally happy but made other people miserable. I don't really put much truck in these kinds of analogies because it's counterfactual. The world doesn't work that way. We don't live in that world. I'm more concerned with the world we actually live in and the moral facts as they are for us now. If we were different people, if humans were completely fundamentally different, if the world worked in a completely fundamentally different way, then yeah, maybe there might be completely different moral facts in that universe, but we don't live in that universe, so it's not really what we're interested in. With regard to other aspects of it, for example, the idea that to have compassion, for example, and get joy out of that rather than raping people, let's say. You have the game theoretic aspects of it, the social theory aspects of it, that if you're in a situation where everybody's happy raping everybody else, but everybody in that society is going to be made miserable by this, you're essentially going to have a state of war in that society. So the rapists are not going to come out very well in this scenario. Essentially, you're going to have women rising up and killing them all. In that particular scenario, it's not in your best interest to go around, oh, it makes me really happy to go killing people and raping and stuff. Yeah, but then they're going to come and basically kill you, which is self-defeating behavior. Any social system is going to be like that. Any kind of behavior you engage in that's going to start subtracting from the benefits of other people, they're going to start subtracting from the benefits on you, and the more you do it, the more they're going to do it. And ultimately, it's going to be a self-defeating situation. You want the ultimate win-win situation. That's always going to be rationally the best choice. And you might have irrational people who don't listen to that, but we don't want to emulate irrational people. Morality is not based on irrationality. Morality comes from rational facts, rational understanding of actual facts. So I think when you look at these facts and look at the analysis of it, you still end up with the same thing. All the things he's saying are actually correct with regard to desire utilitarianism. It's just that the reason we should care about desire utilitarianism is that ultimately it satisfies us to do so, and it's that one central goal, and that's how we would adjudicate between different desires and the ones we should have and shouldn't have.